Well, it's day 3 of World's Group Stage with coverage brought to you by Alienware. I'm joined right now by Yamato from Fnatic to talk a little bit about how things are going for Fnatic. Going a little bit better before the game just now, unfortunately. What went wrong?
Level 1 went wrong. They read our play pretty good, and we were on the back foot ever since. Being on the back foot against Yumi is not something that it's not a position you want to be in, but we fought back well. I think the enemy was in a winning position throughout the game, and we were just playing catch-up. We had some opportunities. We have some things to fine-tune, but generally speaking, I feel quite good after our team's performance in week 1.
Do you think, especially with the loss to EDG just now, that LPL teams are just on another level this tournament, or do you think that they're just kind of waiting for the moment for people to catch up and take them down?
I think my impression overall with the LPL teams, I think in terms of how they set up the objectives, they are very clean and pristine. I think that's where a lot of the other regions can learn from. I think they play very, very disciplined around how they play macro-wise, and generally speaking, they tend to get some small advantages here and there due to just being more precise. But I think a lot of the things come down to just how you team fight and how well you execute on the early game. And that's where there is a lot of variance. There's opportunities to create chaos, and there's opportunities for players to individually shine in team fights. And I think this will be the majority of it. But the dangerous thing about the LPL is they are damn good there too. So LPL is definitely the region to beat.
Okay, so stepping away from LPL and going back to kind of Fnatic stuff, are you surprised at all how well things have gone for you guys? I know it's strange to say right after a loss, but like I think everybody was expecting the team to face a bigger struggle in play-ins, especially because of factors that were outside of your control. Coming into this, I think a lot of people were like, oh, maybe Rogue or G2 are going to be the guys that are going to really show up and debate between which team would make it. But you guys have also been putting on a really great performance, especially yesterday. So I guess, like, is this what you expected, or is this going even better than than you had hoped?
I think on our end, it's always when you get challenged to the absolute limit and still get through. I think that's possibly that's probably the best circumstances that you can have. Like throughout playoffs as well. Like we were one Gragas barrel away of just getting 3-0 by XL, and we made our miracle run to even qualify to Worlds. So we have definitely developed a lot of character in the team, and a lot of team spirit and general, identity, which is something that we lacked. And I feel like we've been put into this hyperbolic time chamber of just conquering challenge after challenge as a group, and that has felt amazing. Coming into this group stage, we just took it for what it was. We don't let the BO1 wins go to our head, and we're very happy with our position, but we're not planning to slow down at all. On my end, the philosophy has always been, it's like when you have 5 players, anything can happen, It's like one time, I've said this in a different interview too, it's like one time I was going to scrims and I got hit by a car, and it's like, yeah, I just went to scrims anyway. I was bleeding everywhere, but I had to scrim. Like there's no other option. So you just have to deal with whatever life throws at you and just try to piece it together. And that is the challenge. Every other team is in the same boat. So you don't know what EDG or T1 are going to bring to the table, because the meta read and just adjusting to a different environment, different scrims, and all together, that is the main challenge. Is how do you put everything together? And you never know what the team is going to bring. You can set expectations, but that's why so often expectations are dangerous. Sometimes you have that team everyone expects to win. They come into the World Championship and all of a sudden they flop because of these challenges exactly. So on our end, we just focus on ourselves, read the enemy the best way we can, and then just jump into it and have a good time.
Very important question. When did you get hit by the car?
Oh, I got hit by the car. I got hit so hard, I don't even remember. No, it was like week 2, week 3. It's the second time I got hit by a car. I was on
Oh, you mean in Europe?
Yeah,
okay.
That didn't happen here. It's just an example of something happening. Yes. Like I've been hit by a car twice on my way to work. Not my fault both times, honestly.
Well, I'm worried for you because New York, I don't know how much you've seen these streets and how the cars are and everything, but are you avoiding the streets here? Because if you're repeatedly getting hit by cars, I would worry for you in this city.
Honestly, in New York, I found the meta. It's just go with the big crowds, because the liability of the driver is just too big if there's too big of a crowd. So I just stick to the crowds and everything is good.
There's like a myth about lemmings. We're going with the crowd, so I'm a little worried for you if that's the case. You have to be careful with that. Regardless, okay, so You are avoiding vehicles, hopefully, and you're continuing on. How much of a grasp of the world's meta do you think that you guys have figured out? Because that's always, like, this year, especially because of the fact that there was not these kind of like big boot camps or whatever. It feels like everyone's kind of chasing to figure out what this is. Co-streamers screaming about draft on stream. So where do you think you guys sit among all of that?
I think right now we have a pretty good read. I think it was evident yesterday. It's like we did a draft, and then the next game EDG just played exactly the same, like Aatrox, Azir, Poppy, and I think we have generally speaking, a pretty decent read, but it's always something that is always developing. It's like there's one curveball that gets thrown in your way, and all of a sudden maybe 1 to 3 bands need to change, or you need to change the order of how you pick things, and maybe everything we know today might be wrong tomorrow. So we just keep on our toes, and we make sure that we pay attention to everything that is going on, because all of a sudden things can shift very heavily. I think on our end, I feel confident with what we know now, but maybe tomorrow we scrim against the team and all of a sudden they teach us something completely new, and it's just important that we absorb it and we make sure that we try to stay a couple of steps ahead, because I'm sure that the other teams are doing the same. It's like now, after playing against T1, I'm sure we're not going to run into that same draft. They're going to make adjustments. We're going to face a tougher T1, a tougher EDG, and so forth, and we're going to make sure that we are tougher too. Yeah. So right now, I feel good about the meta read, but it's a house of cards, things can change very fast.
I noticed you just mentioned 2 of the teams in your 3-team group, and you didn't mention the third, which I guess leads me to my next question. I think, according to my YouTube demographic data, about 60% of my audience is in North America, so I must ask you, we're currently 0-6. Is there anything given you, any signs, scrims, anything that we should lean on for hope?
I think what NA... I feel like there's always a conflict when I'm watching a lot of the NA teams draft. I feel like they don't come to terms with what their level is. And that can be such a deadly thing. And usually, we had the same issue in the regular split. When you have a lot of players that have won before and they win consistently, all of a sudden they say they can play every champ, they can play every matchup, they played it over and over again, but it just makes the game so much harder to play. Yeah. Sometimes, Fuzz, just pick a little Ornn, maybe things are going to be easier for you. The Fiora is a tough cookie, it's a tough cookie to crack. It's very hard to win games with this champ. And like we saw the set with the Nidalee, come on. It's like Canyon wasn't winning when he was like 10-0 on this champ, in the final, like in the final game of best of 5. So it's just, I think simplicity goes a long way. And I've already said too much.
No, I think it's fair. I mean, the counter argument that I've heard people say is like, hey, if we just go draft what everyone else is going to draft, or we don't surprise them, or we don't do something unique, we're never going to be able to upset them. So, it sounds like you think, go comfort, go safe, go with the things that are tried and true.
Yeah, I would say just find a good mix of both. You can't really reinvent yourself completely and expect to, all that work you put in throughout the year to be different. It's like your weaknesses and your strengths are going to remain true even when you get to the World Championship. So you just need to cater to both in a way. And in my mind, I think there's certain counter matchups that require so much finesse for you to actually take over games. And that can be like the deadliest poison when you're doing those draft meetings, when players say, I could play any matchup. Just let this guy on the other team play his favorite champ, and I'm going to smash him,
Okay, so then theoretically, just in theory, what are the 5 champions that you think Cloud9 should pick against you guys? Would you be willing to tell that? It's just a theoretical,
come on,
hypothetical question.
Is Jack around here? Jack, where are you? No, I think that's a bit too deep. I think I've said too much. Just pick simple, and it would be easier for them to play.
Well, EDG just walked in, so they've got interviews lined up. Is there anything that you want to say to any of the fans out there?
Just keep supporting us. We appreciate it. Without you guys at home, none of this would be possible. So keep giving Travis views so he gets more sponsorships, more Alienware money, and all the good things will happen. Thank you so much for all your support. And for the people that don't support us, I'm waiting for you. There's a lot of room for all of you. So welcome.
Very good. Great interview. Thank you. Always buttering me up with the sponsor shoutouts. Thank you so much for the interview. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things Worlds right here on my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching that interview. I'm at Worlds right now as matches are happening behind me, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Alienware supporting me through all these years. Guess what? New York is very, very expensive. Like, think about how expensive it could be, and then like think about it being way more expensive than that. And I wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for Alienware's help. So thank you so much to them. You can check out their link in the description. Also, if you want to see some interviews early, we sometimes post those for members of the YouTube channel. They're shouting out, "Let's go EG." So I guess I need to shut up now.